Is coming up. I want to take a look right now at everything here at the Weather Network, including signs of spring, the spring outlook, the big news. We're counting down, holding our breath after one of the coldest winters in 50 years or more, not just Toronto, but and other parts of the country too. As cold as it's been here, it's been far worse in places like Regina and Winnipeg. We have warmed up in Ontario. We're in the minus single digits. Look at a little bit of snow coming across Lake Simcoe and around Barrie and Innisfil and Alliston and the Kawarthas and coming down through the Niagara region. Well, why is that? Think about this for just a second. Very organized looking, relatively speaking. These aren't the massive streamers we get coming off Georgian Bay, but there is a lot of open water here available. The winds just off due north, northeast, coming down the west end of Lake Ontario. Once they switch around to an easterly flow tomorrow, they've got that long open fetch. Almost all of Lake Ontario is unfrozen, 40% mainly at that end. So that's water available to dump in snow squalls around the QEW, among others. Now, the winds are not especially strong, so we are thinking 5 centimeters, locally maybe a bit more, but I would say generally up to 5 centimeters. And for the western suburbs of Toronto, a couple centimeters are possible. It'll still be cool, but warmer on Friday. Sunshine and 2 degrees, chance of flurries Friday night. That's a great way, Chrissy, to start March break.
Sounds so nice and balmy. 2 degrees, bring it on. Very exciting.
Then. Well, it's not a bad weather day today, Cash. Yeah, you'll want to stay tuned for that. Olympic interviews coming up right here at the Weather Network. 4:45, 5 o'clock coming up. If you're expecting someone home shortly after 5 p.m., we'll get the road conditions for you in a moment. Temperatures averaging about -6 right now, feeling about 6 degrees colder. We have a bit of a wind chill. The winds are out of the north. Cash, by the way, down at the Harbourfront rink. And with corporate sponsorships, 11 more City of Toronto rinks were reopened, actually, having closed back on February 23rd. So they'll go through to March 16th, a total of 28 rinks in the City of Toronto. Get out and enjoy. With the snow coming off Lake Ontario, this is not a very large fetch, but once those winds start to come out of the east, we've got all this open expanse of water, and that will bring, I would say, more widespread squalls tonight, lower visibility, some accumulations, 2 to 5 centimeters, and we might see as much as that in Mississauga. Certainly once we get into Oakville, Burlington, with the winds out of the east, it's more likely. And the winds, well, let's take a look at them now. There's the forecast for this evening. Notice how the wind arrows, I feel like I should be da-da-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum, and they start to come out of the south. There we go. All together now. The winds out of the south bring us up to minus single digits tomorrow, and the morning temperatures will be around -12, give or take. That's a lot warmer than it's been, -10 to -12, and there's +2 for Friday. Can you imagine? That's not a typo. +2. We're finally going to drop that minus. It's not going to last for too long. 0 for Saturday. A little cooler going into March break next week. Saturday night, Sunday night, Friday night. In particular, we could see a few centimeters of snow, and that's when we'll be seeing more widespread lake effect snow. Not quite done with it yet. I know the snow piles will be coming down in our gardens, in our yards, and they'll continue to do that, but with a little top up at times, like last night, same again tonight, although a different setup. Want to show you the radar first off? Good to see you. It's Wednesday. It's Ash Wednesday. Did you eat pancakes yesterday? I ate nachos. I don't know if that counts, but anyway, the winds are out of the north, and we've got some flurries coming down Lake Simcoe for ice fisher folk there, and they're coming right down the west end of Lake Ontario. The winds are just looking at Hamilton. The winds are just to the east of north, so just a north-northeast orientation around the QEW, all the way down through Cayuga and Dunnville and Simcoe. We've got a few scattered flurries, Niagara on the Lake. Those winds are going to come northeast and then east tonight. All that open water on Lake Ontario going to bring maybe some very heavy localized squalls into the QEW region. I would think more in terms of low visibility rather than a lot of accumulation. Still, locally, 5 centimeters. Will be cold tomorrow. On-off flurries. It'll affect Mississauga, Burlington, Oakville, maybe into Etobicoke, probably staying mainly west of the 427 through tomorrow morning and through the day tomorrow. But expect those accumulations in the Niagara region. Friday. Chance of flurries overnight. March break will be underway. Same forecast for Saturday night, but let's enjoy it. 2 degrees, finally a normal temperature. Finally Chrissy said finally 3 times. Finally, it's coming. It's starting.
Warranted, Suzanne. And
It's amazing who you run into, isn't it? We've had a number of Olympic medalists making appearances this week, promoting the sport, spreading some love, I guess giving it back too, right? Because everyone got pretty caught up with those special couple of weeks in Sochi, and Canada really did so well. Such heart. Down at Harbourfront, I know that a number of skaters, including Patrick Chan, were coaching kids the other day. So that's pretty special. -7 in Barrie, feels 5 degrees colder. It's pretty quiet overall. We've had some sunshine today. We've had some scattered flurries, massive snowbanks. They're in my yard, they're in your yard, they're in our parking lot here, and there's a little bit more snow coming. It's pretty light and fluffy. It's not going to be a big issue to shovel, but it might be a bit of an issue for you for your drive. Tonight, for some, certainly the snow will pick up overnight, become more widespread, continue through the morning drive, and continue on and off tomorrow. What's happening is the winds are out of the north, 5 centimeters locally, might even be a little bit more, but we're going to keep it around 5 for the top amounts. And watch how the wind arrows in tandem swing around to an easterly flow. That tends to bring the snow right down into Burlington, Oakville, and Hamilton. No warnings, but special weather statements from Environment Canada for the possibility of whiteouts there. And this, I can't leave without showing you Friday. +2, we'll take it. Sunshine as well. It's heading down towards the St. Catharines area. St. Catharines, Grimsby. Interesting, isn't it? You can look at the weather in so many different ways. You can look at it numerically. You can look at it in real time as we look at the sky. You can look at it in real time on radar. And this is an overview of some of those snow flurries today. And they're all the way up towards Bancroft, down through the Kawarthas. You can see the drift here. Let's see if there's much happening down towards London or Goderich. For a change, not much. Helped very much by the fact that we're almost fully frozen on Lake Huron, Georgian Bay, Lake Superior. Lake Superior is actually closing in on a record for ice cover, which I guess means a longer season for snowmobiling, for ice fishing, and probably a slower start to spring. The spring outlook is all over the Weather Network's website, mobile platform, so if you haven't read it yet, do have a look. There's that light snow along the QE. Not much showing up on the radar, Burlington, Oakville right now. We've had some sunshine. We saw it just a moment ago. But through the evening and through Thursday, with the winds coming more easterly, that's when the snow is going to be picking up around the west end of Lake Ontario. Into Mississauga, maybe even into Etobicoke for tomorrow. But I do want to mention the big story, the fact that we're going to hit 2 on Friday, or be very close to it, Chrissy, and that is a warmer trend going into March break. Great fun and more of those videos on our website. Just go to theweathernetwork.com, Insider Insights, and connect with Chris May that way. What a great way to spend 90 seconds. All right, Suzanne Leonard with you. We've got another 90 seconds to get through your weather, get you into March break. This evening, looking at milder temperatures. I know -8, -10 isn't mild, but milder than it's been for some time. However, we've had some light snow today around Vineland, St. Catharines, Hamilton. The winds are generally northerly. They're switching northeasterly through the evening, easterly through the late evening. So that progression throughout the course of Wednesday brings us accumulations, and with open water across Lake Ontario, snow squalls and some whiteouts that could continue right through the morning drive, the QEW and secondary roads, Burlington, Oakville, west end of Toronto, few centimeters possible, but the main focus would be where the winds are coming directly on shore, which should be south and west of Mississauga, largely on the cool side with a sun cloud mix. This is some good news, though. Friday, I think you'll like. Friday night, Saturday night, by the way, some light flurries. And if you're heading out for March break, lucky you. Look at those temperatures. 2 degrees for Friday across the board for the GTA. Florida, no real big storms to avoid as you head south. Bit of active weather around the Great Lakes. Speaking of the lakes, we could see a coating of maybe 5 centimeters on some of our front walkways tomorrow morning or later tonight. Depends on where you are. See if we can break it down for you. Suzanne Leonard with the team. A wide overview here, and you can see these blue drifts of snow coming through Lake Simcoe and Muskoka today and all the way down through southern Ontario. A little bit of moisture in the atmosphere, and down in the Niagara region, a bit more moisture because the wind and the cold air coming across the open water. Now, there have been some flurries on and off in intensity today around Vineland and St. Catharines. We'll talk about the QEW coming up, the Burlington Skyway Bridge. Chrissy will tell us about the 400. There has been a little bit of good news there, but I need to keep it to weather here because this is going to affect not just your evening commute, but quite possibly many of you, your morning commute as well. It's not a lot of snow, but snow squalls, by their very nature, bring the visibility way down, and you can be in and out of a snowfall, a snow squall, both of the above, quite quickly. So be prepared for the unexpected. Expect the unexpected, if you will. The winds are northerly now, but they'll come northeast and then more of an easterly flow right into Hamilton, Burlington, Oakville through the morning drive. So that's something to really keep in mind. It'll pick up a little more tonight, and those winds will sink down a bit tonight. Tomorrow we'll still be on the cool side. We'll have some scattered flurries overnight Friday and overnight Saturday. But the big news looking ahead, Chrissy, yeah, they really do have to be prepared for any kind of weather condition, but we have some pretty cooperative seasons here in Canada. We are not getting any snow-rain mix right now. We're getting just straight snow. And with temperatures still sub-zero, we are still below normal. We should be 2 or 3 degrees by this time of year, and by 5:46 in the afternoon, yeah, you might expect to be around zero, but we're far below it. It's -10 in Orangeville, feels closer to -20. You're the big winner on this map. As we switch over to the radar, you can see little drifts of snow still coming through upper New York, or no, I guess that wouldn't be upper New York. I'm thinking upstate, but that's the other end. Coming through the western corner of New York, but particularly into St. Catharines, Niagara region, Hamilton, Oakville, Burlington. And this is an area, the west end of Lake Ontario, that is going to see more organized, more widespread snow tonight. And the reason, the winds are north-northeast right now. They're going to continue backing towards the east. And as they do that, all this open water, the open fetch of the lake, we'll see some lake effect snow coming in here. So that's going to be with us tonight, this evening, and through Thursday. Tomorrow, our temperature is going to go up to about -5. We'll have some sunshine. I think downtown Toronto will mostly be protected as those winds come down towards the east, though. As you travel west on the QE or on the Gardner and then onto the QE, that's where we'll see a bit of snow. And look at that, 2 degrees. Some flurries to kick off March break is going to... We know it's always a trade-off with weather, isn't it? Looking west, the setting sun right now. The days are getting longer. The sun is getting stronger as we continue our tilt, the northern hemisphere, getting into the longer days. It's inevitable. That will continue relentlessly, the warming trend, the longer days. But the snowpacks are going to perhaps give us a rather slower start to spring. They are going to put more moisture in our garden. So there's some good news. The snow that's falling right now on the radar, it's a light snow coming out of the north-northeast. The winds out of the north-northeast, helping to pick up a little bit of lake effect. It's a short distance, a short fetch as we call it, down the west end here of Lake Ontario. But still some flurries and bad timing, of course, rush hour. We'll find out more about that horrible closure on the 400. They've had to cut the guardrails again for the second time this week, isn't it? The snowfall, though, getting back to our west end of Lake Ontario. As the winds come down to the east, we'll see lake effect snow becoming a bit more dominant. Hamilton, Burlington, Oakville through the night and through tomorrow morning. On-off flurries tomorrow, and then the temperatures will jump up to just above zero on Friday as March break gets underway. Kilbride, Burlington area. Very touching, isn't it? Like you, I was one of the many affected by the ice storm. And after 5.5 days, no power, I could have hugged every fire crew, restoration crew, hydro crew that worked in my part of the GTA. Good stuff. Memories of this winter. There are a lot of them. -10, -12, -13. Looks fairly calm tonight. But Hamilton and Toronto and Burlington and Oakville, especially some of those western areas I mentioned, under a special weather statement. Not for the city of Toronto, but flurries, -16, feeling a little cooler. Winds coming out of the east. So Hamilton, it could be a slow drive in tomorrow morning. We've had some snow squalls in the area already with northerly winds. They'll start to come more out of the northeast and then the east. And then open water means that we'll be getting some lake effect snow. Watch the wind swing around to the south, though, Thursday through Friday. And what does that mean? It means finally our temperatures, snow squalls will end late tomorrow. Temperatures going up to +2 on Friday. Friday night, March break starts, chance of some flurries. That's looking pretty good. but we are getting close to normal, and that's good news. Here's another bit of good news. You may be gearing up for a road trip with March break in certain parts of the country, kicking off on Friday. And we've got quiet, cool, sunny, dry weather Thursday, most of eastern Canada. Southern prairies, snowbursts continue, heavy at times. BC passes, mountain passes, tonight through tomorrow. Very snow-covered and warming for Calgary, noticeably into Saturday. Look at that, 10-2 for Toronto, with the active weather remaining for travel interests, principally in BC.